Hello everybody. Welcome to Tech Pandit session. This is Dan. Today I'm going to give you a brief on the basics of AWS CLI and the profile. So what is AWS CLI? CLI stands for Command Line Interface. AWS CLI is an open source tool that enables you to interact with AWS services using commands in your command line cell, which with minimal configuration, the AWS CLI enables you to start running commands that implement functionality equivalent to that provided by the browser-based AWS Management Console from the command prompt in your terminal program. So on a layman term, like a CLI is a tool which we need to install on your computer, and then from our local machine using the command prompt, whether you are on Windows or Mac or on Linux, you can do the same activities or the same kind of activities that you can perform on AWS console. So if you want to create an S3 bucket, you don't need to log into AWS Management Console and just create the bucket. Instead of that, you can just type a command and the AWS S3 bucket will be created on AWS in your account. So that's what the CLI is. But today I'm going to show you how we need to configure the CLI, and how and with some basic commands I'm going to show how you can execute those commands in CLI, and what is profile in terms of AWS CLI. I will show you. So as you have understood that this is a command line interface tool, so first thing is that we need to install it. I'm not going to install, I'm not going to show it how to install it and all these things, because this is just this is very much given on AWS website. So if you go to AWS website in documentation, AWS command line interface, and straight go to installing AWS CLI, you can see there are two versions of CLI. One version is version 1 and the latest one is version 2. I would recommend to install version 2, because version 2 is having much more features, and also it has less dependency. That I would say the installation dependencies are already packaged in version 2. Based on your operating system, you can you choose the steps. So pretty much on Windows, it's not that complicated. You just need to download this file, this MSI file, which is executable file from this website, and then the Amazon website, and then just install it. That's all for Windows. For Linux, you can download the you pretty much it is the same way. It is pretty much the same way, just you need to download the zip file, and then you have to install just using the sudo install command. Yeah, pretty much you can refer to based on whatever Windows or Linux or Mac platform you're using. I'm on Mac platform, so I'm going to show you how I have installed. Plus one more thing I just want to show you, that every installation steps has a prerequisite. So before starting with the installation steps, please mindful about the prerequisite, and if you don't have the prerequisite in your system, please get those softwares or packages installed and then go ahead. So like for Mac, it is saying we support AWS CLI version 2 on Apple supported version of 64-bit Mac OS. Because AWS doesn't maintain third-party repositories, we can't guarantee that they contain the latest version of the CLI. So the only thing is that for version 2, you need a 64-bit of Mac OS. If you don't have, if you have older version of Mac OS, probably a CLI version 1 would be preferable. I have a 64-bit Mac OS. So what I'm going to show you how we need to install. So actually I use Brew as a package manager. So Brew is the package manager. if you don't know what brew is all about, so I would definitely recommend you to go to their site and check it. So it's brew.sh. If you type brew.sh, you will get how to install this package manager. So you can install this package manager first, and then you can start installing the AWS CLI. So I have already installed brew on my machine, so I already have it. So it's just very simple. Brew install AWS CLI and just press enter. What it will do, brew is check for all the dependencies and everything, and it will install. For my machine, it is already installed, so it is showing just already installed. Just if you want to reinstall, you type this command. I don't want to reinstall because I already have the latest version. So in case when you will start installing with brew, and if you find some kind of dependency is missing or something, usually brew install all the dependency that you need. But in case it is very helpful, like in case it has something that you need to do as a prerequisite of the installation, it will give you clear cut what you need to do or what you need to perform. So you can follow the steps just and then get it installed. Now that's all about the installation. Now next I will start and I will show you how we can use this CLI. As the AWS CLI is now installed on my machine, let's start with the verification of the installation. So the first thing that we have to do, whether the installation is in working or successfully installed or not. So to do so, we can verify it with a single command. So what we can do, we can check the version of the CLI by using this command AWS _version. And if we press enter, if we can get this kind of output where we can see the AWS CLI version and the other dependent package version that AWS CLI is actually internally using. So like it uses Python, it uses all other packages. If we get this kind of output, so that means yes, the CLI is successfully installed. Now we have to configure this CLI to access to our AWS account. So this is the screen of the AWS Management Console. And as we know that when we are logging to this management console, we are using a user and password to log into this console, and we are accessing this particular AWS account. So similar way, when we are using this AWS CLI, just think of this CLI as another tool, like the console is using browser. The command line interface is using a tool called AWS CLI. So same way, to interact or to access the AWS account, we need to have a user through which we'll connect to the AWS account and do all the activities that we want to do. So for that reason, we have to create one user. We can use this user, but for this demo purpose, I'm going to create one user. So for that, I need to go to IAM. So IAM service is AWS Identity and Access Management Service, which is responsible for managing all the users and their roles and policies and the accessibility, like what kind of access they should have. So I'll go to users and I will create one user. So I will give that user as name demo CLI. And I'm creating this user only for the purpose of programmatic access. So that means that this user would be able to access this account using AWS API, CLI, software development kit, and other development tools, but not through management console. So this user won't be able to log in through this browser. So that means what? The user will not have any password. It will have only access key ID and secret access key. That's all. So I'll go to next page. What kind of permission this user should have? So I'm adding it to the admin group. It will have all the admin privileges, and then I'm not adding any tags, and this is the review. So this is the demo CLI user, group is admin, and I'm just creating the user. So user is getting created. So you can see the user has got created and the user has no password. It has not asked for any password during this creation process. It has only given me an output of access key ID and secret access key. So these two are required when I'm accessing the account. I can, and this screen is only available for one time. Uh, I cannot retrieve this screen after I will close this. So this information I need to save. I can download this information in a CSV file. So I've just downloaded it. Just I will give you a glimpse of the CSV file that I have downloaded. So you can see the same similar information only in a table format it has. So it has like username, no password, access key ID, secret access key, and the console login link. So this is not required. The most important two things are these two. So yes, that's all that we need. Let's go to the console. Sorry, let's go to the command line. So here now we have got one user created, and now I have to configure this console to access to the account. So for that we have to configure. So what we're going to do, we're going to type this command AWS configure, and AWS configure, and then I'll press enter. It asks me for AWS access key ID. I'm going to copy it from here, paste. It's asking me for AWS secret access key. I'll copy it from here, and then it's asking me for default region. So you have to specify some default region, otherwise it will take US East one as the default region. So you can change this region. I will show you how, but for the time being I'm giving AP South East 2, that is my nearest region. So that's all, and then it is asking me for default output format. So as of now the default output format it supports is JSON, table, YAML, and text. So these are nothing but when you run, so you know how does command works. Whenever you run a command, the command gives some output. So whenever the output comes, how we want to see the output, in a JSON format, in a YAML format, in a tabular format, or in just plain text. So just for the time being I'm giving it as JSON. You can change this, so don't worry about these two things. Region and output we can change anytime. So that's all. So it's done. So now our AWS CLI is configured on my local machine, and that's all. Let's run something. Let's see if it works. So what we can do, we can see if let's list the S3 buckets. So if we type AWS S3 and then ls, so it will list all the S3 buckets that I have. So it says that this is the bucket that presents in this account. So let's go back to the account and check if that's correct. So we'll go to S3 and let's see if the bucket is having, if the S3 service, yeah, that's the only bucket it has. So that's how it works. So now we have configured AWS CLI, and we have also we can access the AWS services. So like we have typed one command AWS S3ls, and you can see the output. Now next step is to create a profile, and to create a profile, before creation of the profile I want to show you something, that when I'm configuring AWS CLI, how and where it is storing this information. So these informations are stored in somewhere when you are configuring. So for that, what does it do? When you are typing this AWS configure, for the very first time it creates one folder in your home directory that is called AWS .aws, and in .aws, if we go and check, we'll find two folders. One is credentials. One file is credentials. Two files actually. One file is credentials and another file is config. So if you see, these two files are created and it has same information. So it's saying this is the access key ID which is matching with this, and this is the secret access key which is matching with this, whatever we have input. And then the region is this, default region is AP Southeast 2 and output JSON, whatever I have specified. So you can see that if I want to change the output, we can change here. If we want to change the region, we can change here. We can just edit the file and change this AP Southeast 2 to whatever region you want to mention. If you want to change the output to JSON to YML, and it will accept. And then next time when you execute the command will be executed based on these default values. So you see here, there are in both these two files, there are two. On the very first line is written as default in a square bracket, and same in config file. So that means whenever you are configuring AWS CLI, it creates a default profile. So this is a profile. The default is a profile name. So it creates a default profile, and this is where it is storing all this information. Now we can create our own profile. So how we can create our own profile? So what we can do, so let's say you have so profile you want to, so how you want to create profile, that depends on you. So you can create different profiles for different accounts. Like let's say you have two accounts, AWS accounts, one is dev, one is test. So you can create like dev and test profile. If you have dev profile, but there you are using two regions, let's say one is US East 1, another one is US East 2. So you can have two profile like dev US East 1, dev US East 2, and by whatever means you want to configure your profile, that depends up to you. That depends on you and up to you. I'm just going to show you how. So what we can do, this is called named profiles. So what you have to do, you have to type the same command but with an option called profile. So what you have to run when you are configuring the AWS, you have to just say / profile and just give a profile name. So demo profile. I'm just giving a name, demo profile, and it is asking me for same set of details. So for the time being, I'm just copying the same access key, I'm copying the same secret access key, and let's say for the time being I'm just changing this to something else, AP Southeast 1, and JSON, instead of JSON I'm just giving, let's say, table. It's done. Now we're on the same directory. Now it's in the same directory. So let's see, is there any change in those files? So if we open the file credentials, yes, we can see now, other than default, we have another profile called demo profile. And same way in config, there is another profile called demo profile. So now you can see the profile is demo profile, and these are the two values for this demo profile. Now the question is how we can use these profiles. So there are various means to use this profile. So by default is your default profile. So if I'm executing any command, so it is getting executed on the default profile. If I want to change this profile, I want to execute this command on a different profile. So let's say I want to execute this command on other than this default profile. I have to specify this hyphen profile and then the profile name, which is demo profile. So what will happen, this command is now getting executed on demo profile, not on default. It overrides these values. So when I'm specifying this profile value, it overrides this profile, this default profile, and it accessing the credentials or the accessing the profile of demo profile. There is another mean we can do it. What we can do, there is another variable called export. We can export that variable, that is AWS profile. If we set that to demo profile, and then if we execute AWS S3 ls, what happens is getting executed through that profile. What we can do, we can list all the profiles that is mentioned, or that is here on this machine. So what we can do, we can type AWS configure, same AWS configure, but after that we have to type the keyword list profiles. So this will give me what are the different profiles we have on this machine. Now interestingly, when we are using any profile, so AWS picks up this region and output information from that profile. So how I'm going to show you something like, let's say I will change this file, this config file, and I will modify this file with some chunk value. So what I'm going to do, vim I'm using this file with vim editor, and config file vim editor, and then I'm going to change this something to some kind of region which does not exist. So I'm going to change it to AP Southeast 3, which does not exist. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this profile. So I have changed AP Southeast 3 for demo profile, and I'm going to clear the screen now. So for demo profile, I have changed this AP Southeast 3, and as of now my profile is now pointing to demo profile. So if I'll execute AWS S3 ls, will it give me result? No, it's not, because it's saying that could not connect to the endpoint URL. So you can see that it is not able to connect to the URL. So that's the reason, because it is using demo profile, it is not using the default profile, and this region ID is incorrect. So what we can do, we can say profile default, and it will work. So even if by environment variable AWS profile is set to demo profile, I can overwrite it with another with this option when I'm executing this command. So it doesn't matter which profile I am set to. If I'll provide this hyphen profile option and then provide the profile that I want to use, the name of the profile, it will overwrite all underlying profile variables value, and it will use the profile that is mentioned over here. Same way we can specify our output. So it doesn't matter what the output is mentioned when we have configured it, we can mention it like text or whatever, so it will give me the output in that format. So that's the way it works. So you can play around with this. You can change the profile, you can change the output option and see how the output is different from the what is mentioned in the configuration. And in the other way, if you want to change the configuration, you can anytime go and change these values in the config file. And yeah, so that's how you can configure the profile, and you can use AWS CLI to access AWS services. So that's all for now. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel and motivate me to create more content. Thank you.